My name is Dominique Muhammad. I'm 29 years old. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and this past year, I've faced and defeated one of the toughest battles that I've ever faced in my life. When I was 20 years old, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 4. I'm gonna bring on fellow cancer survivors to show you guys not only that you can beat any cancer, but that you can beat your zombie, whatever that is in life.
Welcome to this episode of BeastvsZombie. I'm cancer survivor Dominique Muhammad. Today's guest has a survival story like no other. My longtime friend, Boston Marathon runner, Cody Jurgens.
Yes.
Is in the building. Thanks for coming on the show today.
It's good to be here, man.
So
good to see you, man. I missed you a lot.
Man, I've known Cody since I was in elementary school. We haven't seen each other in like 10 years or something like that. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
So I really been wanting to know, like, how did you figure out like you had cancer?
Yeah, man. It's a crazy story. As you said, I ran the Boston Marathon last April. Feeling on top of the world, nothing could go wrong. Health good, family good, finances good, everything good, right? On top of the mountain. And a couple months after that, I know how my body feels. I've run a lot of races. I've, done 100-mile ultra marathon, Ironman marathons, all this stuff, right? I know my body feels kind of coming down. It's hard to sleep. You're like a little restless, right? Heart rate's up. But it was a couple weeks that went by and I'm just having like night sweats every single night. I feel like I just have a fever. I'm just running 24/7, I'm like, something's not right here. Like, okay, I'm gonna give this a little bit more time. Maybe I just need to relax, meditate more, go sit in the ice bath or sauna or something. I'm like, what do I go do? I even went over to this place off of Hawthorne here to float. Have you heard of those sensory deprivation tanks?
No.
Those float tanks? Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get into that too.
Okay,
But I'm
yeah.
like, I just need to relax, right? I was like finding anything because I just knew something was up with my body. A couple more weeks went by. It's like about 4 weeks after Boston, and I'm still just not feeling well. Low energy. I'm like, something's off, right? I started noticing this lump forming right above my collarbone right here. It's not that good, but we're okay. We're good, right? So I get into my primary care doctor. I'm like, hey, doc, like, my heart rate's at like 53 beats a minute when I'm sleeping. They're like, oh, that's low. Don't worry about it. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, usually it's down here in the low 40s, high 30s. Like, it's very, very low. This is just not normal for me to just have my heart rate racing. And I got this lump on my neck, and, they're poking it. They're like, it's nothing. It's all good. It'll subside. Super tender to the touch. I was like, man, I really had to push to at least get an ultrasound. So I'm like, can we get an ultrasound? Can we just check this out, please, just for my peace, right? And so we got an ultrasound in a couple weeks, and on that very first one, the radiologist notes on there possible Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Wow.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
Right. I remember me and my mom went to breakfast right after we got that, right when the results came in, and it was like this eerie feeling of maybe knowing that something wasn't going well, but still like, nah, this can't be happening. Like,
no way.
Yeah, we were just silent though. We were just silent, just eating, spending time together. It was a sunny day. And yeah, so they saw that ultrasound. They got me in for a CT scan the next week. I was like, oh, that's pretty quick. They must be kind of jumping on top of it. I appreciate it, but usually those things take a little bit of time. I'm like, okay, it's a little odd that they're getting me in right away for that. To get the CT scan, that kind of shows like the slices of, the images and everything. And they saw some masses between my chest wall and my lungs, essentially, right in between there in the lymph nodes. They scheduled me the next day to come in for a PET scan, right?
Right.
I'm like, again, dang, that's quick.
Right.
That's quick. So that's what they do, like the 3D model of your body. You kind of sit in there like a little burrito. And that's where it came back, that there was, a large mass right in the middle of my chest, about 15 centimeters long, about 8.3 inches, couple spots, throughout my chest. And we're looking at that 3D model, like, what is this, like, inside of me, right? I just ran the Boston Marathon. I'm doing all these things. Like, you're saying that's inside of me.
Right.
Like, all these masses and stuff, that's in there. 2 days from then, it was a Friday, they got me in for a biopsy, where, I had surgery. They collapsed down one of my lungs, take a sample of it just to test the cells and everything. And I got that back the next day, and they said, we'll see you next Thursday for chemo.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, wait, what? So
this
is actually happening. It just all happened like this downhill slide.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about snowboarding, just down the mountain quick, right?
Right.
They gave me a couple of options for a 6-month time period that was a little bit more aggressive. They threw in an extra drug called bleomycin and a few other things in there. Or there's a 12-month option where they could take it a little bit more light. I'm like, roger that. Let's go for it. If we can knock it out in a month, let's do it, right? So yeah, I went in there next Thursday for chemo for the next 6 months, every other week, and yeah, man, that's kind of how everything started. But it was wild walking into that room for the first time. It's, you're trying to stay positive, you're trying to be grateful, you're trying to keep your mind right, but it's hard. It's hard when you walk in that room and you're realizing that you're like, wait, I belong here? Like, I'm supposed to be in this room, right? And it's nothing against anyone else, right? But there's a lot of sick people in there. There's a lot of people that are dying. Older people, younger people even, and that was almost the saddest thing, seeing young kids, with no hair and just struggling real bad, right? Mm-hmm. But, I made it a point that I was going to walk in there every other week. I was going to, tell my nurses I loved them. I was going to talk to the people around me. I was going to try and keep them uplifted and be positive. For some reason, I knew inside of me that everything was going to be okay.
Right.
Like, I just convinced myself of that I was going to get through it. This is just a moment in time. This is just part of God's plan for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through it, though, right? Even though there was, a percentage that might not work. I just always believed that. But I tried to walk in there each day and really stay as positive as possible, because I believed that was key to getting through this as well, just that mental side of it. You know what I mean?
Right. So, I think that's probably one of the most important things about the whole journey.
Right.
And I've talked about it before. It's just like leading by example with my mentality and having confidence in what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally.
And that, like, this is, like you said, part of the journey. This happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And that, like, we're going to get through this.
100%.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
And
totally.
I feel like that not only helped me get through it and feel good about it, but, like, everybody else that was looking at me, that was supporting me, was seeing me from a distance, like, they all felt confidence in me.
Right.
That, like, oh, he's okay.
100%.
Right? Or, like, people that didn't know that I had cancer wouldn't know.
Right, exactly. And I was just about to say that. Yep, exactly.
Right? So, like, it gives me a sense of normalcy.
Exactly.
Like, I tried to play as much basketball as I could while while I had a lot of my cancer, and, like, just stay as active as possible. And, that gave me a sense of normalcy.
Right, exactly.
Which made me feel like I wasn't how I thought I felt.
100%.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, I continued to keep working through the whole time. I wanted, just like you said, if someone walked up to me on the street, I didn't want them to even have 1 ounce of, oh, he's got cancer, he's sick, he's got cancer. Like, no. Like, exactly. We're good. I may not feel the best on the inside, right? And there was a lot of nights where, I cried myself to sleep, man. It's hard, right? You're asking yourself why. Like, why me? Why? Like, you got to go through this period of almost feeling like a victim in some way. It's just natural, right?
Right.
But once you get over that and realize that everything's going to be all right, this is a part of the plan. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to learn a lot from this. I'm going to grow from this. And you know what? I'm going to act like everything's all good, because everything is all good. Coming out of it, life is even better, right? Better than I ever thought it would be, right?
Right.
But and just staying as positive as possible and trying to, use what we've went through to help other people as well.
Right.
To help them stay positive, to maybe give them a little bit shift in their
Right.
perspective too. It's something that I didn't realize all of these things until, you know, after everything was done for the most part.
Right.
Like all those emotions, all the things that you are learning throughout the process of going through cancer. It's hard to realize in the moment when you're going through it, but once you're able to kind of step back and take some space from it, it's like, man, this was a powerful experience. This was, like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. You
Right.
know? Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the goal, right, with this whole podcast with
Right.
Beast vs. Zombie, right? Like everybody is a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody has that
Everyone.
within them.
Yeah.
And everybody has zombies. Everybody has challenges they're trying to
100%.
overcome.
Yeah.
So kind of speak to that.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel now that you've gone through this, like, powerful time in your life? How has that affected you? I know for me, and so, kind of what you were saying, like, right? Like, I appreciate small things like waking up in the morning and
Right.
getting out of bed.
Right. 100%.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
there was times during this journey, especially like in these past 2 years, that I couldn't get out of bed like I wanted to. Right? You feel there's been times when you felt super weak,
100%.
super tired.
Yeah.
Right? So like, how do you feel your perspective has changed
100%.
because of that?
Yeah, no, perspective has changed massively. You know, the little things in life are so much more clear and so much more part of my conscious now. Things that I may have taken granted for before, you know, friendships, you know, family, health, obviously. I thought, shoot, I'm on top of the world, right? Health is great, right? You know, you gotta be, I kind of, you know, as I went through, you know, all my treatments and everything, one thing that kind of like stuck out to me is just this concept of like when your tunnel of life is real bright, there's always a little piece of dark at the end of the tunnel, right? You gotta be prepared, and it's hard because you want the good times to keep rolling, right?
Forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a part of us. When things are going well, you expect them
And
to
we're
keep...
trying to win. Like, we want to win every time.
Exactly.
We want to make every shot.
Exactly. But that's not the case. That's not the reality of
reality.
life. You always got to be prepared when things are well for things soon to not be well, right?
Right.
Life's going to throw you a curveball. It's inevitable, right?
Inevitable.
It's going to happen. You having that little piece of, okay, I'm prepared for this. Again, another quote I kept in my head is, you got to go through it to get to it. You know what I mean? It's hard to sit there and have that perspective and realize that when things are going really well, there's a challenge right around the corner. It's exciting. It's an opportunity for growth, but it's hard to prepare for. And then on the flip side, you know, when your tunnel is as dark as night, there's always a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. You got to believe that. It's just like this ebb and flow of life, right?
Right.
Things are going to come to you. They're going to knock you down. There's going to be successes. There's going to be challenges. You know, as long as you can keep continuing to get through those, learn from them, grow from them. I mean, that's the beauty of life. It's not about ever getting to a specific point. It's just about the journey. It's about, you know, going through all of these circumstances and, you know, having them make you a better version of yourself. You know, I'm a little bit better than I was yesterday. I'm going to be a little bit better tomorrow than I was today, and so on.
Right.
So yeah, that perspective really, you know, was so powerful. And, you know, in regards to, I love the name Beast vs. Zombie. I was thinking about it as I was driving here, and it's like everyone inside of them has this beast, has this person that can do more than they often think is possible. You know, and that's one thing I love about running is it's the hardest thing to do for most people. For me, I go for, you know, run. I sitting there and look at my shoes for 10-15 minutes, you know, not tying them just because I don't want to step outside in the rain and cold. You know what I mean? But everyone's got that person inside of them, and oftentimes there's a lot more potential, and there's a lot more that you can do than you often think. You know, your mind tries to protect you in a lot of ways. It tries to keep you safe. It tries to keep you comfortable. It's kind of counterintuitive, because if you follow that pleasure, that, you know, exactly, what feels good, oftentimes that's going to lead to a more mundane, kind of mediocre life, right?
Yes.
But flipping that on its head and using that as, okay, maybe I don't need to feel good all the time. Maybe
Like
I
an
don't,
indicator.
Right. Maybe I don't need to sit on the couch and relax right now. Maybe I need to challenge myself a little bit today and doing that hard thing, going for that run, right? That's going to make me feel better later on, right?
Right.
That's gonna make me healthier later on, or whatever.
Right.
Or have that hard conversation with your spouse or family member or whatever that difficult circumstance is. It's like facing that head on, going for it, and getting through that is gonna allow you to kind of move forward and
Move forward.
exactly in a better way with more growth and more like happiness and peace inside of you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I feel like when that mind tries to kind of trick you into being comfortable and stopping, it's convincing, oh, I've done enough, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
I worked hard today. It's like when that hits you, you're really only about 40% there,
Right.
You got a lot more left in the tank, let me tell you. You got a lot more left in the tank.
100%.
And on the flip side, with the zombies, it's like, we've all got demons. We've all got things that we're dealing with, skeletons in our closet. But using them for good, using them for power, using them for strength, using them for inspiration. Like I said, it's just this ebb and flow of life, and each day just trying to be just 1% better, right? That compound is going to build over time and be a good thing.
Right. And get over time, like little things out of the big things.
It does. Yeah, consistency is key, right? Yeah. Consistency is key. It's the hardest thing in the world to do with anything. To be consistent, to build a habit. Even if that's, I waited all day, I haven't done a workout today. Even if that's getting 10 push-ups in on the ground, just do something.
It adds
just
up.
Something, right? Just keep that consistency going. Keep that snowball building. And, oftentimes we underestimate what we can do. We kind of overestimate what we can do in the short term and maybe set ourselves up for getting disappointed. But we massively underestimate what we can do in a year, 2 years, 5 years.
Right.
That consistency over, 365 days times X amount of years.
Right.
That builds, and that's powerful. It's hard for our minds to kind of wrap around and understand. But just that daily habit, consistency every day.
Because it's not like a linear thing.
It's
It's
not.
like an exponent. You get momentum, like you were saying.
Right, exactly.
And to touch on what you were saying, right? The way to get through fear, to get through challenges, right, is to attack it. They say the cure to fear,
right,
is to attack it, to go at it.
Exactly.
Is action.
Right.
I'm sorry. The cure to fear is action.
Right.
Right. And because the only thing constant is change.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you just have to be consistently changing in the right direction.
Right. Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Exactly. As soon as you feel that as soon as I feel procrastination set in, I'm like, my golly, this is I kind of picture myself having a little angel on one shoulder and a little devil on the other, and they're going back and forth. They're fighting all day long.
Yeah.
That procrastination, I'm like, ooh, as soon as I feel that, okay, it's time to just...
that's my anxiety.
Yep.
That's my... Right?
Yeah.
I guess if you would say...
Exactly. If you sit with it, 100%.
Right.
I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm not feeling good.
I'm not feeling
right?
this.
But using that as kind of a cue, kind of a call to action.
A signal.
Right. Boom. As soon as I feel that, all right, I need to do something.
I gotta get this done.
Right, exactly. That means I gotta send this email. That means I gotta make this phone call. That means I gotta, do whatever it is. I gotta go do these squats. Whatever it is, as soon as that procrastination sets in, that's your cue to go.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, and I think both of us agree, we are better because we went through cancer.
100%. Without
right?
a doubt. 110%.
I think our perspective is different, and it's crazy that it would take something this intense, I would guess, to give you a perspective on little things, like I said, getting up in the morning,
right? Exactly.
Right? Or this weekend I flew back to come see my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma's still alive, right? I have some grandparents that aren't here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can come back and see I have the resources to come back.
Yeah.
And see to do this podcast with you, to link up with you, and to share this with people,
right?
We're able. I'm healthy. I got back, right? We beat cancer,
right? Yeah.
All types of things to be thankful for. And again, it's crazy. I hope people can learn from our experiences, and so that it doesn't take something as extreme to be thankful and be grateful and understand like how blessed they are.
Right, 100%. Sometimes it is necessary though.
I agree.
Right, as hard as that is, pill to swallow, that's just a reality of life. Sometimes, like we talked about, when things are going well, the thing you least expect to happen, you don't expect anything bad to happen, right?
Right.
But something will come for you. Something will come get you, guaranteed, right? It's almost, I don't know if anyone can just have a magic pill, read a book, meditate, do whatever, and just learn these things. Like I said, you got to go through it to get to it, man.
Yeah.
And it might take cancer. Hopefully it takes something smaller than that, but a lot of times it's going to take something big that shakes up your life, shakes up your world, for you to really realize how special this gift is, how lucky you really are. When you put into perspective of the whole macro of the world, we're sitting here, covered roof over our head, it's a warm room, we're good friends, we're talking,
you had a bed to sleep in last night?
A warm bed, drove
probably
in a car
drank
to get
water this morning. What you got, coffee right there?
Yeah, clean, exactly. I mean, the perspective on just that alone, man. But again, this experience is what brought that to light. Before, hey, didn't really think much of it, right? Woke up in the morning, I'm thinking about, how much money can I make, or how many miles can I run this week, or, I mean, a lot of first world kind of issues, you know what I mean? Like, things that at the very end of the day shouldn't be at the front of my conscious.
Don't really matter.
They don't really matter, man. Having good health, having a good night's sleep, having friends and family around you, those relationships. There's a few things that I don't know, man, I just came to realize that are most important in life. Right? And again, you gotta go through a challenge to really shift your perspective a lot of times. It just, I don't know, kind of is what it is. I wish there was something that you could say to anyone just walking on the street that just, got their eyes opened wide and like, oh wow, I'm gonna start living differently now. It's like, I don't know, there's a beauty in this cancer that we went through. There's a beauty in challenges. There's fulfillment, there's peace, there's joy by going through something difficult, coming out on the other side, using that experience for the better moving forward.
Right. I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I think that it's good that we were able to go through these experiences. Even growing up, right? Like to your point, I know there was times like when my dad would tell me something like, oh, this is happening, bro. You gotta do it like this. Right. I'd be like, nah. Like, you're a teenager, right? Like, you're in high school. You're driving, you got your car, you know everything. Right? And then it would happen exactly the way he told you it was going to happen. But you had to go through it.
You did.
And you had to experience it for yourself to really understand.
Happen to me.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Exactly.
And he's lived way longer than you.
Yeah.
Like, right, he definitely knows. Exactly. And he knew exactly what was going to happen. And he told you. And it happened exactly the way he told you it was going to happen, right? But like, I had to go through that myself to really understand, and to learn, and for whatever reason, and that's just the way it happened, and it happened perfectly, and that's why I always say like perfect timing, right? Like I'm always right on time, or you could say like God's timing, right? I always keep that in mind. When you're asking the questions, like we were saying, like why me, right? Like, and you're kind of like, man, it honestly doesn't really matter why it's me, right? Like I remember I had a conversation with my dad. He was like, "How are you feeling? How are you feeling about this?"
Right.
And I was like, and it was the same as you, right? Like you're like, this is inside of me. Like for me, when I first learned that I had cancer. I had a lump in my neck, the lymph node was swollen, and I went to a chiropractor. I tried to get it rubbed out. He was like, I can't rub it out. You need to go see a doctor. The doctor knew immediately. He couldn't tell me. He was like, I don't know, because there was no scan, there was no biopsy. But he was like, you have cancer. He legit diagnosed me without... He just saw me.
He knew.
It was before we did anything.
Yeah.
We walked in, looked at
Right.
what I had, and was like, "This is what I think it is."
Right.
Immediately.
Right.
And then, you do the scan, you do the biopsy, they figure out what you have.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. We were talking about this. So Cody and I, we had Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yep, exactly.
We had the same type of cancer.
Same one.
Cody beat cancer in 6 months.
6 months.
I beat cancer in 10 years.
But you made it.
We made it.
Yeah.
Right? So that is also interesting as well. Like Cody, we both did ABVD.
Yep, exactly.
Was the initial treatment.
Yep.
And it was a 6-month treatment every other week.
Yep.
And there you have a 70% chance. The doctors give you a 70% chance, like this is curable.
Right.
You have a 70% chance to beat this.
Right.
This is what we're hoping for. And Cody was the 70%. I was the 30%.
Together we made up the 100.
We made 100. That's perfect. And so that is insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like the difference, right? I had 2 bone marrow transplants.
Right, man. God,
I beat it. It came back. I beat it again. So you got the good end of the stick, dog.
Lucky.
That's blessed.
Lucky.
And that's why I thought it was cool. Cause when were you officially over cancer? Like how long has it been?
Yeah. So I went through my last treatment. Speaking of treatment days, this is actually kind of a funny little story. In the very beginning, when I was like mapping out all of my treatment days and putting them on a calendar and everything, my 8th treatment was on my birthday.
Wow.
I was like, this is biblical.
That is crazy. And you beat cancer the day after Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm calling Cody because he had told me I'm calling Cody. It's like December 26th.
Yep.
And that's when Cody got his news that like he officially beat cancer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's April now, so it's been like 3 months.
A few months now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been. It's been good. It's still hard to believe. It's still hard to wrap my head around it. Damn, I really went through this, and I'm so lucky that everything worked how it was supposed to. You know what I mean? Because there was a chance that it didn't.
Yeah, there's always a chance.
Yeah, and it's still a fear that's in the back of my head. Like, having gone through that now, it's like, man, what if that comes back and this and that? I mean, all these things are like messing with your head a lot. But yeah, very, very lucky to have amazing doctors, amazing nurses. It wasn't me. It was the people around me for sure. It was having faith in God. It was having friends and family reaching out. It was having people like you checking in on me literally every other day. Yeah. Seeing your messages, even little things like, hey bro, I hope you're doing well today.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, so like speak to that, like how important was it that you had support?
So important.
Yeah. Right? Because I always say this, like I couldn't imagine if I did this without support. Right. Or without my mom. Yep. Right? Like there's absolutely no way. And like the support of the nurses.
100%.
And the doctors. Right? Like you said, it was not you.
Forever grateful. Forever almost indebted to them. The care that all the doctors and nurses had, the smiles on their faces. They're doing everything they can to make you feel as comfortable as possible, for you to have as easy of a time, if that's even a thing to say, while going through cancer, bringing you warm blankets and little 7-Ups and just going above and beyond to make sure that you're good. And then friends, family, people around me. It's hard to put into words how grateful I am for everyone. Like I said, from the little messages that you see from friends that you haven't talked to in 10 years, to your closest supporters like your mom and dad. I mean, mom was sitting there, up there in the cancer treatments with me every single time. Every time. Her dad.
I did an IG live last night. I do an IG live every Friday night.
I love seeing the
right, and I was talking about working hard, and I was telling, like you were saying earlier, like when you think you're working as hard as you can, when you think you're giving it your all, you're doing 110%. Right. You're only 40% there. You're not even there yet.
Even close.
You're not even close. And I said, when you think in the tagline, I think of the live, I posted the caption or whatever of the live. It was like work when you think you're working 110% or 100%, right? Then work harder.
Right. You haven't
right.
Even arrived.
You're not even close, and like you said, it's
That's
like a mind trick.
Yeah.
It's like a mind trick. It's like you have to really actually understand how your mind works to think like that.
Exactly.
Right? Like you have, because
you've got
like
to be
you
able
said,
to take a step back from your emotions. You've got to be able to gain some perspective and some clarity.
Right.
And be like, hey, I mean, and you're gonna have to, like we talked about, you're gonna have to fail. It's necessary. You're gonna have to put your head on the pillow at night and realize you didn't give it your all that day.
Right.
You're gonna have to do that enough times to where it gets to the point where you never want to feel like that again.
Never.
Right?
Ever.
And then you're going to be consistent. You're going to build some good habits. And guess what? You're going to probably fall right back into that comfort again. You're going to put your head on the pillow again. You're going to be like, dang, didn't give it my all today. That's a sucky feeling. Right?
Right.
And it's this back and forth where you're going to try and not have that feeling when you go to bed at night anymore. Right? Because let me tell you, the pain of running a marathon, qualifying for Boston, running fast for 26 miles is very difficult, by the way.
Yes.
Running 100 miles, running for 29, I ran for almost 30 hours straight with no rest.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The pain and physical discomfort of going through a challenge, and it's not to say that you need to go like be a crazy person, okay? It could be it could be having a difficult conversation. It could be whatever the case may be, whatever you need to confront in life. You know what that is.
Right.
The discomfort of going through that is very temporary, right? My body might be sore for a couple weeks. Oh, big whoop. My mind's trying to convince me it's the worst thing in the world right now.
Stop.
But what is actually the worst thing in the world is quitting, is not giving it your all, is getting done with that race and a week later your body's feeling good and you're like, wait, why did I not give it my all?
Why did I not go harder?
Yeah, exactly. That I don't know, that's what drives me now in every part of my life, is to not have that feeling. I know it's going to happen again, right? I'm a human.
Right.
But try and have that feeling as little times as possible, right? Because when you truly put your head on the pillow and know that you gave it your all today, you worked hard, you did the things that you told yourself you were going to do, you didn't lie to yourself, right?
Right.
That's a huge thing. It's like when you tell yourself you're going to do something, when you write it down, when you make a goal, your only job is to now do that. Because if you put it out there and you don't do it, I've done that before. That eats at you, man. That eats at you slowly over time, and I don't like feeling the feeling of putting my head on the pillow at night, knowing I didn't give it my all, knowing I didn't try hard, knowing I wasn't a good friend, knowing I, didn't tell the truth, knowing, fill in the blank, right? I want to do the opposite of that, right?
Right.
Each and every day. I just think that's so important, not to lie to yourself. It's so easy for us to do, for us to justify it, for us to make excuses, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, tell yourself what you're going to do and do it, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's hard. Doesn't matter if it takes a long time. It doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is you're going to commit to that. And when you tell the truth to yourself, there's something that builds inside of you. There's a strength, there's a power, there's a determination, there's a drive. It's bigger than motivation and inspiration, these things that are somewhat temporary. You see a little video on Instagram of, Denzel, speaking some, inspirational quote or everything. It might get you amped up to go run a mile. But what drives you to continue doing that, right? It's got to be something deeper.
Right.
Something deeper inside.
And that's why they say, understand why you do what you do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the reasons, it always comes back to people.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And
those
last
relationships in your life, as you're
exactly
talking about.
Right.
If you can boil it down to one thing,
it's the relationships and the people that you care about.
That's the most important thing in life.
Right?
It really is.
And that's what I was talking about last night when I was talking about working hard, right? And like I said, I never regretted working harder or doing one more or doing extra.
Never.
Right? You always regret not doing enough.
Yep.
You always regret I could have did more. Maybe I could have won that game.
Right.
maybe I could, right? And living with that feeling, right? Like I personally, I'm kind of crazy, and the people that know me, the people that are close to me, they know, I go hard into, like, I'm a little kid till I crash out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm whatever I'm doing. If I'm playing the video game, I'm going to work. I'm going to work out.
Yeah.
We're making dinner.
Right.
Right? We're playing a little card game.
Yeah.
Like I'm all in. My energy is, I'm focused. I'm living in the moment.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like I'm going hard. I'm
Yeah.
trying to win this card game.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm trying to do my best work at work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I'm getting this workout in, I'm trying to get the best workout I've ever got in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
And there's something like, how you do one thing is how you do all
How you
things.
do everything.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the habit that I have, and it carries, it like flows over like a waterfall into every aspect of my life. And then I start to become the best version of myself
Right.
in every aspect of my life.
100%.
Right? And it's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Right? It's exciting to know that I did my best to go, like you said, lay my head down on the pillow at night and know, like, I gave it my all today. I learned something. I got better. I did something new.
Yeah.
Like I helped somebody,
100%.
right? Like I made this, I took steps in the right direction towards the long-term goals that I created, imagined, and am trying to achieve, right? So, yeah.
Which is one thing on the present moment thing real quick. There's this quote by Marcus Aurelius that I love. I always post that picture of that Daily Stoic book.
Yeah, I see all those.
And I may be butchering it a little bit, but it goes along the lines of, you haven't lost a life other than the one you are living, and you haven't lived a life other than the one you are losing.
Yeah.
Right? The shortest life and the longest therefore amount to the same, because the present moment is the same for all.
Right.
For how can you be deprived of something that's not yours? The past or the future. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. That one gives me chills every time. It's like, being in the present moment, that's the only thing that matters. You can live a whole life right now.
Right.
Right now.
Because this is the only thing, and I said this in one of my lives, it's the only thing that you can actually do.
Right. Exactly.
And that you can actually control.
Yeah.
It's the absolute only thing that you can do is live right now. You can't do anything about past or
100%.
or future. So that's all we got today.
Hey man, it's been a blessing, brother. It's been so great.
Thanks for coming on the show. This was your story is off the charts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, but life's good and I'm grateful.
So this is crazy. Where can people follow you on IG? Like I follow you on
Instagram,
IG.
Yeah, Cody Lee Jurgens. Just how it sounds LeeJurgens. On Instagram. I like to take photos too, so you might see some photography.
Yeah, he's a photographer. World traveler, hiker.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to be outside and see the beauty of this world. That's something that I absolutely love and enjoy.
Right, I love that for you.
Yeah.
I think we're living a good life.
We are, man.
Follow the podcast, BeastvsZombie on Instagram, YouTube. Subscribe, comment, like, anything. Tell us give us feedback. Tell us what you like. Tell us things that you want to hear on the show, people that you want to see on the show. Thanks for coming. Be a beast.